Now it's pretty much confirmed that the Galaxy Z Fold 5 is one of the best foldables in the market. But I can't lie, there are a few things that stop it from being the undisputed king. Now most of us are all familiar with all-time greats, Michael Jordan, Tom Brady, Lionel Messi, and basically any sports figure that can be determined as the best in their sport. And we often see all of these great figures as something to aspire to be, whether it's their determination, their magnified public persona, their physical ability, and many other things that cultivate them to be perfect in many of our minds. But see, that's the problem. They aren't perfect. The all-time great Kobe Bryant said it himself, there's nothing to truly be afraid of because when you think about it, I failed before and I woke up the next morning and I'm okay. And this quote kind of reminds me of the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold series as a whole, because oftentimes we'll see many of these great players and think that they're perfect out the gate, but that's not true at all. Greatness is a step-by-step process in trying and failing, but also learning each time you fail, so when you do fail, you can adapt and make yourself better. When he first got into the league, Kobe didn't start out as the all-NBA legend that we know him as. Michael Jordan had his struggles in his journey of becoming an NBA champion, and every single legend can recall a time where they weren't at their best, which kind of reminds me of the times that we have now with the Galaxy Z Fold 5. See, the Z Fold series has really come a long way, from unusable, unreliable, all the way down to much more expensive for what you were getting. But now, I can really say that the Galaxy Z Fold 5 is usable, it's now very durable yet reliable, and in my opinion, it's the greatest foldable smartphone that I've ever used. But I think that right now, even though it is the greatest, it still has yet to reach its prime. Kind of like LeBron James. When LeBron first came in the league, we all knew that he was destined to be great, but just like the Z Fold 5, there still were some minor holes in his game that stopped him from reaching his prime years, which he later reached when he went to Miami. And today, I'm going to be going over some of the problems that I faced with the Galaxy Z Fold 5 and what Samsung can improve on in order to put the Z Fold series in its prime. Now, the first problem that I encountered when I was using my Z Fold 5 was obviously the extremely narrow front screen, but instead of just telling you why I don't like it, I wanted to go in depth of why it's my least favorite thing about the phone. Now, when you first get the Z Fold 5, the first thing that you will notice is that the text and overall aspect ratio on the front screen is very small, and this can be a problem when I'm coming from my Galaxy S23 Ultra, where the text is very easy to read. Everything is crystal clear, and unfortunately, the front screen on the Z Fold made it much harder, especially when I'm on apps like Twitter or Threads, where I do a lot of reading and I don't feel like opening my phone. The texting was also pretty terrible since everything was much smaller, and this is personal preference, but in my opinion, it doesn't really look aesthetically pleasing either. Another problem that I have with my front screen is that because I don't always feel like opening my phone to watch something on YouTube, oftentimes I watch it on the front screen since it's easier to hold when I'm chilling, but the problem with that is that the experience kind of sucks. Watching videos on the front screen is a problem for me because there are huge black bars on the side, which makes the whole view look aesthetically unpleasant. Also, since the front screen is very slim, it makes the picture much smaller, which isn't great. Even when I try to fold my device and use the other half as a stand to enjoy content, the display looks awkward and very lackluster compared to watching a video on the Pixel Fold. Something else that bothered me when it came to the front display was that because it was so skinny, it felt very weird to hold and use. Again, this is very subjective, but because I'm used to holding my regular slab phone, a lot of times I found it not to be a satisfying feeling to hold, and it definitely made me either want to unfold it or just use my S23 Ultra. Now, the next problem that I have with my Galaxy Z Fold 5 is something that kind of ties in with most foldables out there, and that's the main screen app optimization. Now, what I mean by app optimization is basically how well different apps look and work within the Z Fold's main screen. See, the main focus of foldables in this caliber is the main screen, and it's basically the same thing with a tablet. You buy it because it has a bigger screen and will hopefully enhance the visual experience of whatever you do on it. Now, the Galaxy Z Fold 5's main display honestly has some of the best app optimization, but it still needs some improvement and help from other app developers. Like for example, the Pixel Fold has terrible optimization for the main screen. A lot of apps don't completely fill the screen, and it really does look like a first generation foldable phone, whereas the Z Fold 5 actually has most of its apps completely filled in. But I would like to see apps use more of the big screen instead of just being a blown up version of the app. Like for example, on the Pixel Fold, most of the Google made apps are perfectly optimized for the main screen. Right here, you can see that Google Notes isn't just a blown up version of the app, but instead it's divided into sections so that you can access more without having to scroll. And you can also see the same app looking blown up on the Z Fold 5, so hopefully you guys can see what I'm trying to get at. Now, the last problems that I dealt with on the Z Fold 5 were pretty minor when compared to other foldables, but I do want to share them so that you guys can see if these problems affect your purchase decision. Now, the first minor problem that I experienced was the fact that the phone would be very wobbly whenever it lay flat. Like whenever I would be doing some work outside of Starbucks, I will lay it flat on the table and either the wind or my movement will have it wobbling, which caught my attention every time. And again, the reason that I don't consider this major is because you can really get a case to fix this issue, or you can just turn it around and lay it flat on the screen, but I'm pretty cautious and I don't want any unnecessary scratches, so that's not much of an option for me. Now the next nitpick that I have is stock Samsung widgets. I wish they would have made more widgets specifically for the Z Fold's main screen, since the ones that I have don't look as good as they would on the S23 Ultra. More foldable phone widgets would immerse me more in the foldable experience, and this is a nitpick because you can just get good luck, or some people are fine with how the widgets look and they aren't really complaining. And the last nitpick that I have with the Z Fold 5 is that I wish that the specs were lined up with the price. Like I wish we could have had a 200 megapixel main camera, and I wish that we could have had an S Pen that came with the phone. And the Z Fold 5 not having these things makes the S23 Ultra look like a much better deal. So now that we've gone over the dislikes that have shortened the greatness of the Z Fold 5, let's talk about some of the things that I did like. And now the first thing that I liked was how refined everything feels. The hinge feels very premium and sturdy. Opening and closing the phone feels much more satisfying than my Pixel Fold. I like how the phone closes completely shut and is completely flat whenever I unfold it. I also like that it kept the matte back with the stainless steel sides, giving it a very premium feel, and I love how the crease never got in my way, whether I was watching movies or just scrolling through an app. Also, one benefit of the outer display being skinnier is that the buttons are much easier to reach. And speaking on the buttons, they also continue that overall quality feel, which I liked a lot. The main display was very enjoyable to me. The screen resolution was phenomenal, and I pretty much have the highest praises when it comes to Samsung and their screens. Every single year they do great and have yet to disappoint me. I also forgot to mention this, but another problem that I have was watching videos on the main display isn't great. Again, we have the huge black bars on the top and bottom, which didn't look great aesthetically and has been a problem on not only foldables but many tablets as well. Again, the main reason we buy these phones and tablets is because they have a bigger screen, and I'm pretty sure just like a TV, the main benefit of a bigger screen is that you can watch TV shows and movies in a much more comfortable manner. Moving on to the battery, it's pretty fine. Much better than I expected, but didn't surprise me. I will end my days with about 20% battery, and one thing that I realized is that battery is pretty subjective. If you have a portable charger, you'll be fine. If you use it mildly, you'll be fine. And if you don't game on it all day, you should be able to last all day. Charging speeds were okay. I wish they had 45 watts like on my S23 Ultra, but I'm not complaining too much since 25 watts isn't the slowest. And also, I mainly charge my phones overnight, which kind of eliminates this problem. Pictures were good. Selfies were pretty great as well when the lighting hit. Night mode photos were amazing, just like most Samsung phones. And again, overall, the pictures look really good and I didn't have much to complain about. And in conclusion, I want to go on record and say that despite the many faults that the Z Fold 5 has, it will still give you the best experience that $1,800 will give you in the foldable market. Its greatness outweighs the negatives, and even though I really wish Samsung would get rid of the Z Fold 5 skinny front screen, I also appreciate them for making the experience of the main screen so good, which is the main reason that people buy these phones. And just like many of the greats that we've experienced over the past few decades, the Galaxy Z Fold 5 has so much potential to be the standard when it comes to being the best. And just like all the GOATs that I mentioned in my video, hopefully they can get that chip off their shoulder and live up to the expectations. And there it is, you guys, my likes and dislikes of the Galaxy Z Fold 5. Now let me know down in the comments, what great athlete would you compare the Z Fold series to? Let me know. And again, I want to thank you guys for watching today's video, and I'm going to see you guys in the next one. Peace.